What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Coach Steve Show. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Follow and rate on Apple and iTunes and Spotify. Follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok. There's plenty of stuff on here for everybody. We discuss everything from Chicago Bears to talking to high school and college coaches all over the country, and we discuss everything in sports in between. The NFL draft is here. This is, I don't know if you want to call it Christmas, but this is an exciting couple of days for everybody. We get to see teams that are really trying to build their team up to be good this season. I am not going to talk about the Chicago Bears pick. Join us probably Sunday after the draft is over. Me and Zach Kallman will be on for Bear Down to talk about the Bears picks. We're going to talk about the topic that everybody wants to talk about because they don't want to talk about any other draft pick other than Shedeur Sanders. We talked about Shedeur on the last episode about his jersey retirement, but let's talk about the draft night. Everybody and their mother thought that Shedeur Sanders was going to be picked in round one. Everybody that works at ESPN, they definitely thought he was supposed to be number one. They love him at ESPN. They thought he was supposed to be drafted in the first round. He even put out a video about where he was getting drafted. He had legendary on this wall and a bunch of hats, had this, and this. He had this big gold chain on that is bigger, that's probably the size of my two hands combined. So he really put on a show for his draft night. Well, sorry, Shedeur, you were not drafted in the first round. I personally did not think he was going to be drafted in the first round. I really didn't. We'll talk about a little bit probably why he didn't get drafted in the first round. And, he came out with a little quote, a little speech saying this is not what he thought was going to happen, but God has a plan, which obviously he's right. God does have a plan. But you had like Mel Kiper Jr. going on and ranting about how dumb this was. You have Skip Bayless, ranting about how dumb this was. And other people at ESPN, they were complete shock at people saying that this is unfair to him as to why he wasn't drafted in the first round. And I think that it's all ridiculous. Okay. Number one, he doesn't need the money. He had name, image, and likeness, whether he actually took money from him or not. Dion claims he didn't. Dion obviously has a good living, and so he doesn't – the money part about, well, he's going to be in the second round, third round, he's not going to get paid, that part to me is dumb. He obviously has a good life without being drafted that early in the NFL draft. So that part doesn't matter, okay? But it's just, guys – think about why he wasn't drafted, okay? People are going to bring up his stats, and we talked about it with the jersey retirement. I'm not saying he has bad stats, but the problem is that's what people all live on is stats, okay? Stats. If stats meant everything, then every single time that we debate or talk, and we talk about teams when on their schedule, then I'll go by stats. The full story is stats, right? If that's what we're talking about. This team averages 32 points a game and they give up 12. The other team only scores 20 points a game. They give up 15 points. So that means the first team should win when they play each other. But then we don't understand why the other team won when I just read you off the stats. Team one's quarterback only averages 200 passing yards a game. Quarterback number 2 gets 300. So he obviously should lead the offense to win, right? But then why did the other team win? So stop always going by stats. Stats do not tell the full story. The game is not played on paper. The game is played on the court or the field or the diamond. So these ESPN people that claim they know about football, claim they understand and know how to watch film, like the Mina Kimes of the world, Mel Kiper Jr.'s of the world, we have to get over that. That's my first part. Second part, I do want to give Shedeur props. He had great stats at Jackson State. His stats were good at Colorado. They were good. 7,000 some passing yards in 2 years. Had a lot of touchdown passes, did not turn the ball over that much. So then they're talking about why. Obviously, they think they're blackballing him. I don't agree with that at all. You can't sit here and tell me that every NFL team is saying, don't draft him, don't draft him. They're going to say, don't tell me how to run my team. Okay. Don't tell me how to run my team. If a team really was in desperate need of a quarterback and felt that he could come in and be plugged in right away to play, they would have done it. I think that's the next part is that he seems like a good college quarterback for some NFL executives and head coaches. So maybe they don't want to play him right away. They want him to sit. But maybe from talking to Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders, that's not what they want. They want him to play right away. Maybe they feel like he's not ready to play right away. Maybe there's some other feelings there. Okay, that's going to turn some people off saying, of course you want to play right away. But if we draft you, we'll tell you when you play and when you don't play. That's part of it, most likely. Another part I feel that why he's not drafted, there was a anonymous NFL executive that came out, and I'm paraphrasing, saying it was one of the worst interviews they ever had with a prospect, saying that he felt very entitled, did not speak very well, and didn't answer questions the way that they thought. And so then others started to talk and say they felt the same way. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe he didn't interview well. Maybe he didn't speak well. Maybe he did answer, questions to feel very entitled. That is also probably part of it. I also think a big part of it is they don't want the circus. And what I mean by circus is they don't want the when you give you an example. When and this is no offense to Dion. Dion's doing what Dion feels is right. He's trying to bring attention to Colorado, and he wanted to bring attention to Shedeur, and he wanted to bring attention to Travis Hunter because he knew they want to play in the NFL. He wanted to give them big exposure. So when you watch a Colorado football game, their sidelines are completely packed on their side because they have hip hop artists, they have celebrities, they have this, they have this. They have cameras everywhere because he does a documentary on Amazon Prime called Coach, or I think it's just called Prime. So it's completely packed. And I don't know if they want to bring that type of circus to them because they're an NFL organization. I don't think they want to bring that. I don't think they want to bring outside noise that may come with Shedeur Sanders being drafted. I don't think they want to bring the outside stuff. He's on TikTok, he's on this, he's on this. I don't think they want to bring all that attention for all that stuff that he does. And I don't think they want to bring in the distractions of the celebrations he wants to do and do this and do this. I don't think they want to bring that with him. And again, this is not saying that Dion's a bad father. I think he's been a great father. He's got his sons to be very successful. And again, this is nothing against that. I'm not going against him for that. I'm not going against Dion as a player. Dion is one of the best NFL players to play the game. He's doing good things at Colorado, but I think there's just too much glamour. I think there's too much extra. I always tell my kids coaching, don't do anything extra. Don't be extra. And I think that's what is happening at Colorado. And so I feel those are all big parts of why he was not picked in the first round. But then you kind of look at teams. What kind of needs do the teams need? And where do they put them above everything else, right? And I'll talk about that Sunday with the Bears and their first pick that they had. So the first quarterback taken, I just don't feel it's a strong quarterback class like it has been. First one taken, obviously, was Cam Ward, number 1 to Tennessee. They felt like they have a quarterback problem. They felt that he played in a lot of big games and, has the talent. They took him. The next quarterback that was taken wasn't until Jackson Dart from Ole Miss to the New York Giants at pick number 25. Everybody else was picking wide receivers, running backs, linemen. So only 2 quarterbacks, right? So you look at certain needs and as the picks get lower, these guys are seeing the trend that it's going. If somebody really wants him, is he going to be there in the second round? And that's another thing people don't need to kind of realize. if you have a pick in the first round and a pick in the second round that you feel that you can get Shedeur Sanders if you really wanted him and maybe pay him less money, and that sucks, but that's what NFL teams have a cap. They can't just spend all the money they want. There is a cap, and they cannot go over that cap. So and that's with any player, if they feel like they can get a player that they want in a later round and pay him less, that's what they're going to do. If you guys watch the movie Draft Day, that's a memes and videos that go around during these couple days when the Cleveland Browns are making the trade, when Sonny's making that trade with the Seahawks. He's making that certain trade saying, hey, you're going to get the quarterback of your dreams and you can get him for millions of dollars less. And that's when the general manager said, that's going to solve our salary cap problem. We're still going to get the quarterback we want. So that's another part of it. So some of these teams, yeah, maybe they need a quarterback. I know they say Pittsburgh Steelers need a quarterback. Why they not take him? Vikings, do you want to fix your quarterback problem? Saints, what about your quarterback problems or whoever it is, and you didn't pick him? Okay, other teams, they have quarterbacks. The Eagles have quarterback, Chiefs, Commanders, the Lions have a quarterback, Ravens have a quarterback, Falcons, I guess, have a quarterback. New York Giants, I don't know what they're doing. They signed 2 veteran quarterbacks. Now they drafted Jackson Dart, so that part's confusing. Packers have a quarterback, Chargers do. So all these teams have a quarterback for the most part. And so if they feel like they can get one later on, they're going to. So that's another part of this. I think another part is we talk about stats and we could talk about his whatever he's done, but I think another thing that teams look at is kind of who you played and look at what did you do against these teams? So I saw a tweet here because somebody tweeted, we all know why he didn't get picked because they want to bring race into it, which is a ridiculous argument. Dan Lanning said they're trying to get clicks. This guy's trying to get clicks for the wrong reasons. But then I saw a comment that kind of is another part I think goes through their minds. He put SEC competition is better than Big 12 competition, which that argument can be made. We can talk about that later. Because they were wondering why Jackson Dart got drafted over Shedeur Sanders. 2023, so in 2 seasons for Jackson Dart, had 7,634 passing yards. Shedeur had 7,364. Dart had 52 passing touchdowns. Shedeur had 64. Dart had 11 interceptions. Shedeur had 13. Dart had 886 rushing yards. Shedeur had 127. Dart had 11 rushing touchdowns to Shedeur's 8. Then sacked, Dart 55, Shedeur 94. Now, that argument can be made because the big talk was the O-line was bad when they first got there, even though they got the guys they wanted from the portal. Remember, they lived in the portal, and they still do, and apparently they didn't have the right O-line. I bet you that a lot of those sacks came from Shedeur having happy feet because I know for a fact he has happy feet because he is athletic and wants to move. I had talked about the same thing with Justin Fields, talked about the same thing with Caleb Williams. Yes, some of it's on the O-line, some of it's on the quarterback. I don't think people understand the logistics of quarterback in the pocket and pass protection. Dart's top 10 wins in college, he had 2. His overall record in 2 years was 21-5. He had 2 bowl wins. Shedeur, top 10 wins, 0. Record, 13-12. Bowl wins, 0. So I also think they're looking into that. Yeah, and you went 13-12. And I know it's a team game, but since it is a team game, but everybody wants to say they won because of the quarterback. So I love how we can say, or the ESPN guys can say, when they win, look at what the quarterback did, look at what this did. But then when they lose, they want to not put all the blame on people, especially when the media picks somebody. And this reminds me of Justin Fields all over again. It's all over again, Justin Fields, but Justin Fields went higher in the draft. But they always find somebody that they want to be super good and that they die on a hill on for that player. They always do it. And you want to know how we know it's Shedeur? It's because that's all you see. All you see is Dion, Shedeur, and Travis Hunter. Good. It's recruiting for Colorado. Dion knows what he's doing to play the game. That's what they're doing. Good for him. If that brings recruits in, that's what you're trying to do. But the trade-off here is that's all we're going to talk about. They talked more about Shedeur Sanders than they did Cam Ward. Now, do I think Cam Ward's going to go on to be a Tom Brady? No. But they talked way more about that than Cam Ward being the number 1 overall draft pick. I didn't think Justin Fields should have gone as high as he did, but they talked about him a lot because he was drafted high. Give these people their flowers. If you want to give Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders their flowers with their jersey retirements and all that stuff, they need to give him his flowers. But all they want to talk about the whole draft was Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, when's he going? Oh my gosh, when's he going? I can't believe he hasn't been drafted yet. The media wants down that hill. Same thing in politics media. They find the one person. That's all they talk about. It's no different than ESPN. ESPN is still kind of woke. Fox Sports is still kind of woke in that world, and that's what they're going to do. They are going to talk about this until he's drafted. But now when he gets drafted, they're going to say, oh my God, I can't wait for him to destroy all the teams that didn't draft him and everything else. And that's going to fuel the fire. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is going to fuel him when he does get drafted. Whatever it takes to motivate you. Michael Jordan would make stuff up in his head. This guy talked about my mama. I got to take it to him because he had to find ways to motivate him. Cool. I respect that. And I'm not saying Shedeur doesn't have athleticism. I'm not saying that he can't make plays. I'm not saying that if he steps on an NFL field that he wouldn't be able to do some good things. I just don't know. People are comparing him to Peyton. Like, it sounds like we're talking about Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. You had Mel Kiper comparing him to NFL legend quarterbacks. Oh, excuse me. Was I asleep while Shedeur Sanders won national championships in college, and that's why he deserves to be compared to some of the best? Please stop that shit. We don't know. It goes back to the jersey retirement. It should happen years later if he goes in there and he's an MVP conversation for NFL and everything else, or while he was at Colorado, they won a big bowl game, made it to the playoffs, whatever it was. I didn't know we gave out all that stuff for, having a good season after they won 1 game, then 3 games and 4 games. Like, I didn't know that's when we did all that stuff. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that we talk about him because he was a Heisman Trophy winner that's not getting drafted in the first round. Like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Really good players got drafted. Talk a lot about the players that got drafted. Yeah, you can have segments about why maybe you thought he should have been drafted higher and he didn't. Lamar Jackson, I know people, I already saw a picture. Hey, the last time somebody doubted a quarterback, look, there's Lamar Jackson. Okay. But Lamar Jackson doesn't win playoff games. Lamar Jackson doesn't win Super Bowls. He's a regular season statistical guy. I used to say the same thing about Peyton Manning when I was in high school and going into college. That, yeah, he got a Super Bowl against my Bears in 2006. Tom Brady won Super Bowls. Peyton Manning's statistics could be a little bit above Tom Brady. Peyton Manning, obviously Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the best to ever do it, but I used to say it at one point, that Peyton Manning will give you the best regular season statistics, but then just doesn't get to the Super Bowls and all that stuff like Tom Brady. That's why you had to put Tom Brady a little bit above him, even though I thought that Peyton Manning was a better quote-unquote quarterback. But when you want to talk about wins, you want to talk about being there and consistently being there, it's Tom Brady. These guys, these people at ESPN, how do they continue to have jobs when they spew this ridiculous narratives that this guy is just like them? When I know he did at Jackson State, but that's not the same level as the Power Fours now. Cool, he put up some numbers, but did that lead to a ton of wins? Was he able to lead them? Oh, but Steve, it's a team game. What did the defense do? What did they do? Okay, but then you got to put blame on him too if it's a team game. Well, what was he supposed to do? And they're going to bring the LeBron argument into it. Well, he had the number one seed with the Cavaliers and so and so. Then what did the team do in the playoffs? Lead them, do something. I just hate the back and forth talk. Let's be more consistent. Again, there are plenty of reasons to not draft him in the first round, and I named all of them. Maybe there's question marks. Like, who did they play? Who did they beat? How did he do in big time moments? Did he win games he was supposed to? Did they win games they weren't supposed to? What was the competition? What mechanics does he bring to the table? New York Giants thought that Dart could bring different mechanics into it. What type of offense are they going to run? Does this quarterback fit into our offense? Even though I think NFL coaches should kind of play into what the quarterback can do because you're in the NFL. But the reality of the situation is if you have a choice, does this person fit into the type of offense I want to do? That's why I respected the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is, he's getting better, but it's later in his career, and I don't know how much longer of a career he's going to have the more he's running around. But he was not a pocket quarterback. He was a short game, play action, speed option, triple option type of quarterback for the NFL. And they adapted. And that's how he was able to have a good regular season, always giving statistics and looking good, putting position to win the MVP. Just can't always get it done in the playoffs. That's the problem. But sells tickets, wins games. So you have to go. And always, these aren't all NFL GMs that do this. Head coaches are involved. That's why you see the war room. They should, like for the Bears, you see Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. So these head coaches are involved. So you can't sit there and tell me that every single GM and head coach, when they have question marks, that they're all wrong. I don't know. And you know what? I'm not saying that he won't be drafted high in the second round. I'm not saying that he will never play in the NFL. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be successful playing the NFL later on. I don't know if he'll do it right away. I'm not saying that at all because none of us can predict that. That's the hard part of drafting. You are drafting somebody that you hope is going to do that. And the only proof you have is what they did in college. Did they get better as the time went on? But then you also have to look at them as people. I talked to a lot of college coaches, and especially now in the transfer portal era. One of the things they have to do when they recruit, what type of person are they? Are they going to be able to buy into what we're doing? What are they going to do off the field? Are they going to be a distraction? Are they going to be more trouble than what it's worth? Same thing in the NFL. That's why they interview them. How are they going to handle the media? How is this? How is this? Are they a distraction on social media? Are they going to bring the wrong type of attention to us? Believe it or not, back in the day, that was with Tim Tebow. What kind of circus was Tim Tebow going to bring? And he was not on social media and Instagram and TikTok because the TikTok wasn't even around. But believe it or not, same type of thing. And his only problem was everybody loved him. They would want him to play right away. I remember that being a topic conversation. And he prayed. That was his problem. So even back then for that stuff was talked about. So why can't all this stuff be talked about with Shedeur Sanders? Oh, well, you hate him. No, I have never once said I hated him. I don't think any of these people that have questions about him have said they hate him, but that's what this world is now. The world is you can't have a conversation about it because if someone came on here and had a conversation with me and able to change my mind, that's what the world should be. There might be some things you never ever agree. I would agree with you on. I have said this a million times. There's a handful of things that I will never be convinced out of. One of them is you'll never convince me LeBron's the GOAT, and that's just one of them. Okay. You would never convince me that God doesn't exist. You would never convince me that Kobe Bryant's not a top 3, 5 best player of all time. You would never convince like those certain things you would never convince me on. We could have a conversation. If it's a civil conversation, I would respect it. I would respect you for your right to say it because we live in America and that's why we have freedom of speech. Cool. But you're not going to convince I can't. You can't convince me of all this stuff. Horace Hardy, yeah, I've been talking about that man for 62 damn days. Yeah, I've been talking about him like ah, I feel bad for the guys that got drafted above him because I don't think they got enough attention either. So I just hate how I remember waking up in middle school, high school, and one of the first things on ESPN top 20 or top 10 plays. And you saw the shows. I thought they were well done with coverage of and even coverage and talking about guys and topics, and they were evenly covered. And then the longer it's gone on, I've said the woke word before, but that's where ESPN has gone. They won't talk about certain things. And if you don't agree, you're wrong. And it's always wrong. And there's no conversation. Stephen A. Smith does it all the time. I used to like Stephen A. Smith. I remember like a late night show. I don't remember what it was called. One of the first episodes I watched, Kobe Bryant was on there. It was a long time ago. He was young. Stephen A. Smith was young in that time. But even that, I can't watch it. Can't watch Shannon Sharp. I can't watch any of them. Like there is no ESPN like show that I can watch. Used to love Dan Orlowski. Can't do it anymore. Mina Kimes, and I know this might rub people the wrong way. I don't agree with what she says. I think she gives bad analysts of things. I just can't do it. And like the draft, I can't even really watch it, and it sucks. I keep up with it. I have updates. I see the update, but then I go back and then I rewatch. I can't watch it live. I'll rewatch it because I'm curious, especially with all this, and for the podcast purposes, I can't. You just keep talking about Shedeur Sanders. Why he's not drafted? Why he's not drafted? Kind of like the comment I just posted up here. Draft him so I can stop talk. We can stop listening about it. But now the problem is if he gets drafted in the second round, third round, oh my God, he should have been drafted. Hindsight's 2020. Hindsight's 2020. Just because I didn't draft him in the first round doesn't mean he's a bad player. It just means that they don't feel like the circus. They don't feel like this. The guys I repeated this. If you draft later, you're looking at the trends, you're looking at who they took, you're getting a feel for it, and you have your board. And if people there that you want and you feel that this is a bigger need than drafting him, then that's what you're going to do. Okay. So sorry. It's just every year is different. Some are very quarterback heavy needed, some are running back heavy needed, some are offensive lineman needed. And it just depends on the team and it depends on long term and it depends on do you feel like they can make an impact right away now. I used to be develop, even though if they got drafted first, if a quarterback went first, maybe they're going to play, but if they went after the first pick and they're going in the first round, that they can sit behind and learn. That stuff doesn't happen much anymore. You don't see even Tom Brady sat at the very beginning, but you don't see like the Aaron Rodgers, you don't see that type of stuff where they can sit back and learn a little bit and play. Now they're forced into it. And I heard Kurt Warner talk about this when you, because of the timeline, like right now you got the draft, and when you have camps like OTAs, and you have where they have to be there and stuff like that. It's hard to develop a quarterback that young right away, especially if they're going to play. Then once you get into the season, by that time you try to fix things, but then you're trying to. It's just a lot, and I know that's the world we live in now. Um, Even in college, like these guys want to play right away, and I get it. But are you getting better in practice? Like the games are the performance. It's what we've done in practice has to translate to the game. And these guys want to play so bad, and then they transfer, and now they're going to get different coaching. And the NFL is kind of like that with the draft. It's a lot. So, but I think those are reasons why Shedeur Sanders did not go in the first round. I think he'll go in the second round. It would be a big shocker if he didn't go in the second round, wouldn't it? Anybody listening? It'd be kind of funny. I kind of want that to happen, even though I'd have to listen to them talk more about it. I think that'd be hilarious, just from that part. Not for him as the kid, but I feel like that'd be funny, wouldn't it? Everybody thinks he's going to go to Cleveland in the first pick of the second round, um, but I don't know. Who knows, right? Like who knows? Because you got Cleveland Browns if he doesn't go there. Houston, it's not going to take him. Tennessee won't take him. Now, Cleveland then could take him in the fourth pick there if they decide to not take him the first and he's still sitting there. Raiders, possibility. I don't know about the Patriots. They have Drake May. They love him. The Bears are obviously not going to take him. Saints, maybe. Bears, no. Jets, possible. San Francisco, no. Dallas, no. I don't see the Colts taking him. Rams won't take him. The Cardinals won't take him. I don't believe the Dolphins would. The Bengals, no. Seattle, possible, but I doubt it. Denver, I doubt it. Seattle, I doubt it. Tampa Bay, I doubt it. Green Bay, no, for sure. Chargers, no. Bills, no. I don't think Carolina would spend the money. Houston, no. Baltimore, no. Detroit, no. Washington, no. Buffalo, no. So, like, he would have to go high in that second round. If he doesn't, he will fall to the third round. Um, Dan, he'll go in the second round. I think so. I think so. Why not Dallas? Mm, I don't know. I don't know. I know Dallas is all about glamour and stuff. I just don't know if they want to bring that type of glamour in. I don't know. I don't know. They have Dak Prescott, and then I don't know. I'm not saying okay. I'll change it. I'm not saying 100% no. I just don't see it, but I would not be shocked. But he'd have to go high, and I think he will. I'm not saying he's not. Again, I think he is going in the second round, of course. I just think it would be that would give a lot of material for podcasters and ESPN to talk about, right? If he did not go. But I am ashamed of them for not giving I don't think Cam Ward's going to be all that fantastic. I especially didn't like him not playing in the bowl game. I thought that was very disrespectful to the coaches. I thought that was, and I know Mario Cristobal said that he was okay with it, but me personally, that's disrespectful to the coaches. Or he played and then came out. Sorry, like he played to get like the record or do something and then came out. Like that's disrespectful to me, to the coaches, and disrespectful to the players. I found that very odd, and I know that's my old school way of thinking, but whatever. It's whatever. Um, but I just don't see him being like this Tom Brady-esque quarterback either. But regardless, you're the first round pick. They should have talked about him more. They should have talked about all these other people, but it just kept going to just Shedeur Sanders, and I couldn't take it anymore. Dallas' potential to sit under, learn behind Dak. Dak's contract is getting pretty dicey. Again, if he goes somewhere where he can sit behind, I'm all for that, right? I I just don't know if he's ready to start. So, um, that's a great point. See, this is why it's American conversations and getting my brain to rack a little bit. I'm okay with one of these teams, not the Bears. Bears, please don't take him. If they take him and he can sit behind, cool. If Dallas takes him and sits behind Dak and that's your quarterback of the future, cool. If I don't think the Texans would do this at all, but let's live in a fantasy world for a minute. If the Texans took him and he sat behind CJ Stroud and learned and stuff like that. But CJ Stroud is still young, but that's just fun. Like something like that, right? Does he go to Dallas and sit behind Dak Prescott because the quarter or the contract situation? Um, does he go to the Saints even and sit behind? Or that'd be a horrible situation. They're not in a good spot right now, but that's what happens. Teams not in a good situation usually go for quarterbacks like that. Does San Francisco take him and learn from Brock Purdy? I don't know. I don't think they have the money, but maybe they do. Do the Rams decide to? But they have other needs. So again, each team has a different need. Does Dallas sit here and say, is the quarterback the biggest need? Do they need a different need? I don't know. So it all comes down to that too. Like some of these teams have a quarterback. Um, Texans again, they have their quarterback of the future. Tennessee just drafted their quarterback. New England, apparently they like Drake May, but you never know there. But I don't see it. Raiders, they could use it. Bears have a quarterback. The Jets, they don't know what's happening with Aaron Rodgers, so maybe they decide to do it and say, Aaron Rodgers, it's your ticket out of here. Um, Colts, they're kind of weird right now. They love their quarterback situation. I don't see the Cardinals doing it, but maybe he sits behind Kyle Murray, like stuff like that. But it comes down to certain money. It would have to be a veteran only on late dicey contract. Okay, so you've sold me on the Cowboys, and if you want to go to a place with money, Cowboys right there, they can afford it. So he is going to go in the second round. I just couldn't tell you who or when. Is it high? Is it low? I think he will. I don't know where. So it'll be interesting this day too. I'm excited for who my Bears are going to take. The Bears have 3 picks. It's a 3 or 2. Uh, is it 3 or 2? I think it's 2. Okay, so they have some picks here. I'm excited for my Bears. Pick number 7 and 9. Um, so excited to see who they get. So it'll be a good time. The first days are always exciting in the draft. I just hate how long it is and everything. But yeah, I think that's why Shedeur Sanders, that's why he didn't get drafted. Leave comments. Let me know if I was right, wrong. Do you think he should have been drafted? But give a good reason, not just because he threw for 7,000 yards in 2 years. Give me something else, right? Uh, why should he have been drafted? What team probably could have used him at quarterback? But then have the argument: do they have a pick in the second round where they think they could still get him and spend less money to get him? So should he have been drafted higher? Good reason. Do you agree with me why he wasn't drafted? Is there other reasons why he probably wasn't drafted? So leave a comment in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow on X, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, and Rumble. Live on Rumble right now. So um, subscribe there or follow. I can't remember which one it is. So do all that stuff for me. Greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. This is Coach Steve. We'll see you guys next time.